iOS 16 is here, the software that the next iPhone 14 is going to release with. So, these are my top 10 new features, right here from Apple HQ, the place where they were thought of. Number 10 being properly live wallpapers. Sort of. You still can't get full moving video wallpapers like you can on Android, but you do now get wallpapers that animate as you transition between the lock screen and the home screen. It is pretty much a one-to-one of a feature that Xiaomi has had for years now, but still, it does add a much needed touch of life to the iPhone. And that brings me on to number 9, the new wallpaper gallery. So you know how right now, if you want to find new wallpapers all the time, pretty much your only option is to head onto the App Store and download one of those free wallpaper apps that serves you an ad every single time you click a button. Well, Apple is now trying to bring this feature internally. So now, when you go to choose a new wallpaper, your phone will serve you a combination of both new wallpapers that it thinks you'll like, and also photos you've already taken that it thinks are a good fit. Oh yeah, and also, I kind of like this because I get bored on my home screen easily, you can now set it to shuffle. So every single time you check...
Hey, what's up? MKBHD here, and yes, this is the Nothing phone. The first phone from the startup that gave us the Nothing Ear 1 earbuds in 2021. A big step into establishing their own ecosystem that they're building, and it looks familiar, but also very different. So we live in an age right now where so many of the top phones, the most popular phones, are designed to appeal to the masses. That's the point of them.
Check your iPhone's lock screen, there's a new wallpaper automatically applied. Messages has also had an upgrade, a very simple upgrade, but one that will probably affect quite a lot of people. You can now edit messages after you've sent them, in case, let's say, you spell a word wrong. You can undo messages, and you can also mark a message thread as unread. But this is where it gets juicy, because more important than wallpapers and messages is how iOS 16 manages to improve the general intelligence of iPhones. So you might know that right now, when you take a photo on an iPhone, you can interact with the text in that photo. But with the new iOS, you can also pause any video and interact with the text within any frame. You've got new quick actions in the camera, which let you convert currencies and translate text in real time. Plus, I think this is even cooler, a feature called Visual Lookup. It lets you touch and hold the subject of a photo, let's say your dog, and then instantly it can strip out the subject, separating it from the background to be able to paste that subject into other apps, let's say messages. And finally, dictation is now more intelligent. When you're using speech to text on your iPhone, it'll now automatically add in punctuation and somehow even emojis. Okay, let's talk about sharing.
And so they all end up kind of looking basically the same. All very similar. You know, big screen up on the front, a couple cameras on the back, a couple pale colors, nothing too crazy, just a glass slab. So if a startup were to come along and make another average phone, it would probably fit in pretty nice, but there wouldn't really be any reason to switch to it, to buy that one. So what Nothing has done is they've made a pretty unique looking phone that also happens to have a bunch of cool features surrounding that unique look. I think it's pretty sick. Now this phone isn't out yet, FYI. It's coming around July 12th, so definitely get subscribed to make sure you see the full review of the entire phone and everything about it when it does come out. But until then, what I am allowed to show you now is the back of the phone. So the Ear 1 earbuds that came from them last year played off of this transparency theme. Not fully transparent, but definitely with some clear plastic bits that look...
Because I really get the impression that sharing is the thing that Apple is trying to double down on right now. So first up is photo sharing, which is trying to address the very real problem of each member of a family or friendship group having their own set of photos that they've taken, but never the full set of photos that everyone's taken. So iOS 16 now creates a shared iCloud photo library with up to 5 people. And you can set the rules that dictate what gets shared to that folder. Like, for example, the location that a photo was taken in or who is actually in that shot. And even within the camera app, you now have an option to shoot photos directly to a shared iCloud library. It's very convenient, but I do also feel like there's a high likelihood of accidentally sharing something that you did not want to share. Sharing is not always caring. There is also a lot more emphasis on sharing things via the Messages app. So, for example, you know SharePlay, the ability to watch movies or go on apps together at the same time with your friends? You can now jump into SharePlay apps directly from Messages. Oh yeah, and as well as ways to extend the amount that you share, Apple is also trying to allow you to reduce the amount. with something that they're calling Safety Check, which is made for sufferers of abusive relationships to be able to really quickly stop sharing your location, to be able to reset your privacy settings, and also to sign out of iCloud and Apple Messages on all your devices except the one you're using. This is very smart. But number
cool, and then reveals some shielding inside that's strategically placed and painted to look sweet. That's kind of the look this phone also has going on too, but the way that really stands out is with these lights on the back. So the phone has what I would basically call the ultimate notification LED. So the notification LED on the back of a phone has been a dying breed lately. You don't see them very much, but when you do, which is rare, it's so nice to just have like a subtle little glowing LED that just tells you what's going on. You can tell if you have a new phone call or text message or a new tweet. And this is a sort of a exaggerated all-out version of that. So there are just over 900 LEDs making up a pattern across the whole back of this phone, around the dual cameras, around the wireless charging pad in the middle, and then some stripes up into the corner, and then down by the charging port at the bottom. And they do a great job frosting over them. So the glow really cleanly appears as just a solid continuous light bar. So they call it the glyph interface, and it has a bunch of real functionality. So first of all, it does light up and pulse for your notifications. It will also light up and glow when you're wireless charging or reverse wireless charging, which is neat. But there's also a feature where when you plug into USB-C to charge, it lights up that bottom bar and then acts as a progress bar indicator.
5 seems like kind of a huge deal, and it's to do with Apple Pay. Now, one new thing coming is that you're very soon going to be able to tap 2 iPhones together, and just with that, transfer money from one user to another user. That's pretty cool already. But then something I think is absolutely enormous is a feature that they're calling Apple Pay Later. It basically lets you, when you're about to buy a product using Apple Pay, to split that payment up into 4 separate chunks with 0 interest and no fees. So at the point where you're buying something, Apple pays the full amount of that purchase to the company, and then over the course of the next 6 weeks, takes back that amount bit by bit from your account. It's almost like Apple's becoming a bank. And related to that, they're also lasering in on expanding the Apple Wallet. You can kind of tell that the end goal here, what Apple's trying to achieve with iOS, is to effectively replace your actual wallet. So for example, right now, they're working with various states and cities to try to make your Apple Wallet hold your driving license. Plus, your keys. Your Apple Wallet can now hold your hotel keys, your office keys, your home keys. And just like with a physical key that you could, take out of your wallet and hand over to someone else, you can now just send someone one of your virtual keys through Apple Messages. Can you imagine if you sent them to the wrong contact though? Okay, the new Apple Maps is also kind of exciting. Now, just to give you a little bit of context, I'm pretty much mostly a Google Maps user. I quite like how it's not focused on being ultimately streamlined and instead just focuses on getting as many features in as possible. But there is enough new stuff coming to Apple Maps that I'm pretty keen to give it another go. There's an upgraded 3D view, which highlights buildings with better elevation and improved detail. And to be fair, on the demos they showed us, this looks insane, with even a different aesthetic depending on whether your phone is set to light mode or dark mode. But I think I do need to see how it looks in the more day-to-day, more normal rural scenarios to come to a conclusion. But there's more. You can now plan a route with up to 15 different stops in advance. You can plan that route on your Mac and then send it straight to your iPhone, which is actually something that I would use. It will save me the couple of minutes that it takes to re-enter it on my phone. Plus, you can also see the fares and actually make the payment for those fares of any public transport within the Apple Maps app. One of the things that I'm most excited about though is how iOS 16 handles notifications. And I think the key thing it's trying to do is reduce that feeling of spam. So for starters, notifications now come up from the bottom of your lock screen instead of near the top. But then also, I imagine I'm not the only one who has a couple of apps that try to ping me like 10 different times per day. You get this a lot if you use sporting apps. They'll give you a new notification literally any time even the most minor thing happens. So, iOS 16 separates them. It puts these activity-based notifications into a separate live activities section. It makes them more compact, and it allows you to set them so that they don't bug you in the same way that notifications.
And of course, you wouldn't want that to stay lit up all the time, so it turns off. But anytime you want to check on it, all you got to do is just wiggle the phone a little bit, and it lights up again so you can see how far you've gotten. That is dope. The entire glyph interface can light up at once as a fill light for the cameras. These are pretty bright LEDs. Normally, some lights on the back of a phone I wouldn't say make much of a difference, but for some sort of close-up subjects or in darker rooms, this can actually make a difference versus the normal flash that's also on the back of the phone. Plus, there is a blinking red light on the back here, which is a recording indicator for when you're recording videos. And then Nothing has built an entire user interface into the settings that let you control exactly how the lights work when they turn on and what they light up for. So the most impressive part, to me, for sure, is there are 10 built-in ringtones. And you might not use ringtones that much, but these are cool. They each have a light pattern that lights up to perfectly match the ringtone. And so then you can pair ringtones with certain contacts. So when you see a certain light pattern, even when the phone is muted, you know who's calling you just by looking at it. And on launch, you'll be able to have different light patterns for notifications from different apps too. I imagine they can add more stuff like this through software updates over time, but that is a really interesting, actually new feature in a smartphone. We don't see that very often, so that's pretty cool. Now,